Welcome to Honestly Rated, and today we'll be talking about your favorite alpha, Wildstorm. Wildstorm is the second rarest Skylander from Imagineers, right there with Robo. So, because of it, I'm going to take a look at his moveset and overall gameplay to really determine, is he really worth the price that I got him for, which was roughly $100. But just like normal, before we jump into the actual moveset, let me tell you about Wildstorm and his lore. By age 10, Wildstorm was pretty good and already mastered his Airblade, and since he didn't have any type of figures to protect him or even take care of him, he had to fend for himself by going around Skylands and looking for the highest bidder that would want his combat services. And obviously, one of those people that were one of the highest bidders was obviously Chaos. Chaos just wanted him to go into a pirate ship and steal a golden detector. But realistically, he knew he was probably going to get caught, and so was just kind of using him as bait to really figure out what the defenses look like in there. And again, he did get caught. So with Wildstorm now captured, he is extremely angry at Chaos because he's obviously not going to save him, and the winds are blowing hard into his cell at the highest top of the tower. And all of that kind of combined into him becoming a big beast, which you just keep that in mind for later. And he kind of broke his way through, very angry at Chaos still, try to figure out a way how to get revenge on him, and obviously meets on to Eon, and Eon's like, hey, you can join us, and since he's so good with the blade, decides to teach other people how to use their blade for good with your Imagineers. So, yeah, pretty cool story, but again, keep that big beast thing for later. Now, normally I'll talk about how I want you to send over the Skylanders you want to see next, and I still do, but I do want it to be a little bit more around a theme, and that is Christmas. So tell me a Skylander that has like a Christmas variant or something, or just kind of relates to Christmas, and I'll do them next time. Because, you know, we're in December. And also, if you want to see more content like this, there is a playlist in the description that has every single one that I've done. And if you want to stay up to date, subscribing obviously helps out the most, but these come out every single Saturday. So, with all that said and done now, let's go on to Wildstorm and see how big of a storm this guy can really make. Starting us off, we have Storm Strike and Lightning Bolt. Right off rip, we have a pretty, standard base set. First one slashing, really up close, and then a projectile. But there is a central theme between these two, and that is knockback. They really love knockback for Wildstorm. You're going to see it a lot, and these beginning two moves already started off pretty well. For our Storm Strike, after the fourth hit, he will do a Headbutt that knocks back enemies, and then our Lightning Bolt just naturally does a knockback. Which is a little weird. You think like electricity, you think like enemies getting stunned and staying in place and doing all like that jittery shit. No, he just fucking makes them fly. And then even to go even a little bit further, our Grand Slam, the one that after you jump into your primary attack, also makes enemies fly. He really loves knockback. And personally, even though it doesn't look like that right now, it's going to become even more. And it's a little bit of a detriment to me, but I guess I'll talk about it more when we get into the other moves that do it too. Next, we're going to be using our head and causing an uproar. With Wildstorm being able to use his head literally, he has now added damage to only his Headbutt move, which is pretty weird. If you're going to make a damage upgrade, just kind of make it to like the whole chain, at least in my opinion. But at the same time, he also is a Imaginator, so like, is it really that necessary on a guy that's already really buff as fuck? I don't know, I really don't like it, especially for it being the first upgrade, but luckily we do have the second upgrade, which is causing an uproar. And to cause an uproar with Wildstorm, you kind of throw clouds out of his face, his mouth. I really don't know what the anatomy of Wildstorm is, but whatever, like the pitch black void that's right there, it's coming out of there. And it's pretty fine, I guess. You just kind of belch clouds, and they do push back enemies, and it is a ranged item, but other than that, it does absolutely nothing. Our Thunderbolt already does pretty good pushback and also does more damage. Even though it's not constant damage, it is pretty significant damage, which again kind of staggers enemies, and you can keep throwing Thunderbolts if you really wanted to. You could just keep whipping that bitch out and just keep on going. Nothing's really stopping you. So I just don't see much practicality in the clouds, but luckily the next upgrades are probably supposed to make it at least a little better. Last up is Thunderstorms and Uproar galore. As you can see, these are both tailored to our Outroar, and they're fine. I definitely think one's pretty mediocre, and that being the Thunderstorm one, and the only reason being is that its consistency isn't really there. Obviously, sometimes it works perfectly. I throw out the clouds, I throw a Thunderbolt at it, and it makes a Storm Cloud. Nice. That's exactly what I wanted. But most of the time, I honestly think more due to how the clouds kind of just work and how they're modeled or something, it just doesn't work all the time. I swear, I throw out clouds in one specific spot, and I throw out Thunderbolt, and it just doesn't light it up like a match. I don't know why, and it's actually pretty annoying. Then there are some clouds that get stuck onto enemies, and you would think that, if you throw a Thunderbolt at someone that has a cloud around them, it would still make a thundercloud, but it doesn't, and I think that would be something that would be pretty nice just to kind of guarantee a hit, especially if you're hitting enemy, and it keeps them stunned in the same area because, that's the only move that actually causes that type of stun, which is kind of weird. You'd think the Thunderbolt itself would do it, But, you know, a lot of it is just down to consistency. It doesn't happen a lot, even though if it did, I definitely think I would like it a lot more. It would give a lot more meaning to the clouds themselves. But without it, it's just kind of whatever. If it happens, it happens, but you're really not banking on it happening. But then for our other upgrade, it allows us to spawn more clouds as we do our uproar, and that's fine and whatever. But the main thing about it that I really liked about it was the slowness, because in the same vein as stun, slow is just a worse version of stun, so it works in the same vein. You know, I can go do a combo-based move on them, I can throw more projectiles at them, I can throw more wind at them, I can run away, whatever you really want to do. So, you know, even though we don't got consistent stun, you do have practically consistent slow, which is, I guess something I can come to terms with. Now, onto the Feral Beast path with a Brute Edge and Untamed Air. To be honest, I find these two moves pretty boring. For one, Brute Edge, come on, this guy's a sensei. Does he really need that much damage? No, I'm pretty sure he does pretty good damage by himself. I don't think he really needs a damage upgrade. And with it, I just personally don't see this one. I don't like it. Then we have Untamed Air. As you see, it allows you to push air from the people's ashes and right up and they fly away, which is knockback. It's just a long way of saying you could do more knockback. And we could do that from the beginning. You heard me say it. All the 3 moves that we learned from the beginning, straight off rip, he could do knockback. And something like the clouds, where you can at least stun enemies, even though it's not that great, and I find it a little bit finicky, at least that's cool, right? Like, you can stun enemies. That's a new trait that you get added on. But with more knockback, I just have more knockback. I could do this from the beginning. Now, even though it's a lot more of a consistent thing that you can do, I just don't find it that cool. I don't find it to be amazing. I'm not mind blown off of it because I've been shown it from the beginning. So I just find these pretty boring. Even if it's a good move, and again, it does look kind of cool, it's just boring. But we still have one more move to look at in the top path, and there's another reason I don't really like it. So to move on a little quicker, let's go talk about it. Last up is going to be Running Wild. It's a pretty shitty move, honestly, just from everything about it. For one, it's more knockback. You're allowed to hold down square, and instead of doing a headbutt, you do a dash. And to be fair, you can still do the headbutt if you really want to, if you don't want to. But honestly, I don't know why you would want to do the dash. For one, it does less damage than the clouds, which that's pretty insane. Then for two, if you want to land that headbutt, you can't do it if you're doing the dash because enemies are going to be flying over you and you're not going to have any time to actually like link up again and hit them with it. It's just not that great. Then for two, I have 5 other options to do knockback, and this is not something that I think is that beneficial. Just throwing a lightning bolt will probably do even further knockback than this one. A normal headbutt would do more knockback. My fucking clouds is a little bit more beneficial than the fucking dash because at least that I can slow down enemies. It's just all the other options that I have for knockback, this is just the one I wouldn't use at all. It's just not that beneficial, and even though it does make sense to use, it's just not that good. If it did more damage, maybe. If it lasted for longer, maybe. If I was guaranteed a pretty strong hit at the end on the enemy I'm hitting, maybe. But it doesn't. All 3 of those, it doesn't fucking do. So it's just not that great of a move. Honestly, this whole top path could just be called more knockback and even a little bit more knockback. And then I would understand. Like, yeah, this is just knockback and more knockback and even more knockback. But the second path wouldn't have it, right? Right? Wild Weather is the name of the second path, and we have Cut Loose and Chain Lightning. Now this is where my second critique of Wildstorm is going to come through, and that is that both of these fucking paths are the same thing. Our first upgrade, top path, sword upgrade, does more damage. Bottom path, guess what? Bolt upgrade, it does more damage. Whoa! Then we go to the second upgrade. Go look at the top one. Oh, we get to blast 3 air tunnels up people's asses, and it does knockback. Okay, cool. Now, take a look at this one. We get to bolt 3 enemies at a time. And guess what? It does more knockback. I don't like it. I don't like when moves are practically the same fucking thing. Because what even is the choice at this point? There is no choice. You can pick the top, you can pick the bottom. It doesn't fucking matter which one you pick. Because guess what? It's either you like the close combat of things, which even though that top one kind of makes you play somewhat far range still, and then the bottom one is just for far range. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything about the character. It's the same fucking thing. I have the same experience, even if I go with the top and bottom, and that's pretty fucking boring. I don't know why they would do it. I don't know if this character was on a time crunch. I don't know if they just didn't really think about him too much, but whatever they did, it just doesn't make the character, like, super fun. It just makes it, oh, I remember when I did this in the top path. Why the fuck did I switch? I don't know, because I have to make this video. And honestly, I could have not switched. I could have just raided one path, and I think I would have had the same experience. But to be fair, I guess we haven't looked at the third one, so no way in hell the third one's the same as the top one, right? right? Luckily for my mental sanity, Electrical Storm is actually a little bit different in the sense that I actually like this one comparatively to the Ram Rush. The reason I like this one is that, for one, it places down clouds, and if you do a second one right after, it's actually pretty easy to get a couple storm clouds going. You don't even have to do it. You could just throw down your 3 Thunderbolts we have now, and it actually hits a good amount of the clouds, and I enjoy it for that reason. And personally, even though it is, it's another charge move, right? Just like the Top Bath, it's a charge move. So in that sense, it's similar. I like this one. This one actually has a lot more uses to it. You can stun enemies a lot better with it. And, you can actually use the stun to a lot more benefit comparatively to before. And I guess that's also another nice thing about having 3 bolts. I guess you can hit the clouds more consistently. But again, it's just realistically the same fucking thing. And even though, yeah, this one is also very much copy and pasted from the top one, just in a different format. But it's a lot more useful. It is a lot more useful. Last up, we have Release the Beast, where we become a mist or beast type of monster here. And honestly, it's pretty cool. And now even though I don't have concrete evidence, right, that this is what they're talking about in the lore, I want to say it is because it's super cool. Now, is it really practical? No. If you're playing like a nightmare run, even a hard run in certain situations, this thing will get you clapped up in a moment. You can't run, you're super slow, and the damage is alright, but it's not super like fast killing. So use it at your own risk, but it is super cool. And I know there's someone out there that wanted more knockback, and they listened. He has a swiping move that launches enemy backwards. So for whoever wanted more knockback, that one was for you. And I hope you sleep well tonight. Now, even though I don't care about Sky Chi moves, Unchained Lightning, here it is. If you really want to see it, if you want to make sure I don't miss anything. I don't give a shit about this move. It's pretty cool, I guess. You get lightning from the sky. Do one final knockback, because they just love their knockback. So if you're another guy that's like, man, I like that other knockback, but this one hits a little different. Here you go. There's another one, because they just love fucking knockback on this guy. But with all that said and done now, let's go take a look at the final rating. My final and honest rating on Wildstorm is that he is a solid 3 out of 5. I think his gameplay is fine. I think if he's like a fun character, that if you are a person that really likes his beginning and you don't really want him to change to the end, well, this is the Skyliner for you, because he doesn't really change at all, and that's where a lot of the points dock. He doesn't fucking change. From the top to the bottom path, they're the exact same fucking thing, and knockback. Oh, man, I just love knockback, and I like knockback on characters, but when it's the only fucking thing that this guy's got to claim to fame, it doesn't become special anymore. It just becomes like oh, I remember you could do that, because I do it with every move I press, and it just, makes for a pretty boring character when you just kind of take a deeper look into these guys. And it just kind of sucks, because Imaginators, at least for me personally, when I've been playing through them, they had very creative things, and I really thought they got their mark down. I don't know if Wildstorm was one of the last ones they made, or there's just one that really wasn't looked on, but he is just very fucking boring, man. He just isn't that crazy. Again, he's a fun character, like on a base level of just playing and just picking one path and going. But when you just like go look at both paths and you're trying to look at critiques for the guy, there is a lot you can make with him. And honestly, that kind of sucks. If I had to say one thing that I would probably change about Wildstorm, is to probably make him a lot more into like a feral beast that they are trying to portray him as. I definitely think the sword's fine, but he has like that whole beast form for his soul gem, and I think if they kind of like base it around a lot more of that, not Pop Fizz style where he can like switch into it and there's different abilities, but like making him into different type of animals and stuff like that, he could have been a really fun character to use. And especially if both paths were 2 different animals that really buffed him out in this kit. But since they're not, he's not that cool of a character in the slightest. And with that, that is Wildstorm honestly rated. So let me know what you think of him, if you ever played him, and let me know what Skyliner you want to see next. Again, make it more Christmas themed if you really want to, or maybe you want to see a Skyliner that you might want to get in the future. Just let me know in the comments, and I'll pick which one I want to see next, or if I see likes on it, I'll probably pick that one the most. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. It doesn't mean a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more of these, and check out my other content if you really want to. I play more than Skyliners, but I like to try to keep this one up to date. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching all the way through, and I hope to see you and everybody else in the next one. Peace.